Hello and welcome to day number 5, the final day of Supabase Launch Week number 5. If this is your first day, go back and watch all of the awesome videos that we've released each day and check out all the cool features that we've dropped throughout the week. But before we get too far into it, my name is John Myers. I'm a developer advocate from Supabase.
And I'm Thor. I'm also a developer and advocate at Supabase. And this week has been huge. We've launched a ton of things. On Monday, we've officially launched the CLI version 1. It graduated out of beta, and we've launched the admin API. This one is in beta, but do check that out.
Tuesday, we had Supabase JS, which is kind of the glue that holds all of the little Supabase pieces together. So there were some very exciting new things that came out there.
Wednesday was all about enterprise and security. If you've wondered what a sock is that you don't put on your foot, definitely check that one out. Sock 2 has been shipped.
Thursday, we had all of our new real-time features and changes. So we introduced broadcasting and presence, which kind of join on top of our existing database real-time functionality to give you even more ways to listen to changes that are happening in your Supabase world.
And today is Friday, Community Day on Friday. So that's a bit of a switch here. No, we don't have Rebecca Black joining us, but we have tons of folks from the community joining us with all the amazing things they've built with Supabase in relation to Supabase. We're always astonished what folks are building. And so, yeah, this is huge. We've switched things around a little bit. So instead of Monday, now Friday is the big community day party. And we're just so excited to feature all the good stuff that the community has built.
Yeah, we've got lots of little snippets to show you from different people around the community. First person is Thor, who is going to tell us all about how we built the Launch Week golden ticket functionality. So if you're watching the socials, there were some special golden tickets that went out with some special exclusive swag. And yeah, Thor's going to tell us all about how that was actually built.
Yeah, and then we have the actual open source spotlight. We do this to showcase some cool open source projects out there. So we'll have Dimitri from schemathesis.io as our open source spotlight. He's built some Rust and Python libraries for JSON schema validation, which is actually the foundation for our new PG JSON schema extension. So we'll have Dimitri and Ollie, who've built that, dive into that.
Awesome. We then have some new courses and tutorials. So I'll be telling you about my new Egghead course, which dropped today. So go and check that out. It's a free course that teaches you all about caching Supabase data at the edge with Cloudflare workers and KV storage. That one is going to be awesome. We also have a tutorial and video coming out next week from Simon Grimm, who's going to teach us all about building a real-time Trello board with Angular and Supabase, which is going to be awesome.
That's exciting. More Angular stuff is great. And then we have a bunch of new integration partners. First off, we have Supabase, which is a no-code internal tool builder with a Notion-like UI. It's also fully open source. It's a great team based out of here, out of Singapore here. And they've built a Lotion open source project. Do check that one out. Then we have Replicache, who lets you build offline-first applications that work with Supabase real-time to update your applications in real-time and react super fast. So there's an integration guide of how to deploy that with Vercel and Supabase. Next up, we have Code Sandbox Projects Beta. So this gives you a fully fledged development environment with forking and branching. So separate environments for all your forks and branches, both on the web and on native iOS. So that one is nice if you're building kind of on the go. Check out Code Sandbox Projects Beta. And then lastly, we have sap.run. It is a free online sandbox environment for building Flutter applications in the browser. This is built by the good folks over at Invertase, and this is being launched in kind of an alpha phase now. So do check it out if you're building Flutter applications on the go.
Yeah, we also have some exciting new expert partners. We have Freelancer, which is a creative digital agency based in Indonesia. They've recently built a Supabase Edge Functions URL shortener, which is very cool and also open source. So if you need some help building your Supabase projects and you're in the APAC time zone, they might be the perfect person to go and talk to about it. We also have some exciting developer stories. So we have Snapify, which is a powerful design tool that helps you explain and share your code snippets with many beautiful themes and in all sorts of beautiful ways. And then we have Wallet Connect, which is an open source protocol for connecting decentralized applications to mobile wallets with QR code scanning and deep linking built right into it from Supabase Auth's GoTrue server, which is very exciting.
We absolutely love that everyone is building with Supabase. And if you are building with Supabase and want to become an official Supabase partner, check out supabase.com/partners. You can apply to become a partner and maybe be featured in the next launch week. But we've talked a lot. There's a lot to cover. And now let's actually hear from all of the folks in the community. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, I hope you're really enjoying Launch Week 5 as much as we are. Lots of good stuff being shipped this week. And this was the first time that we used kind of a virtual ticketing system for folks to sort of get some, tickets and win some swag. Actually, we added a golden ticket mechanic. And I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit how we've done that, give you a little look behind the scenes. And yeah, maybe use it yourself. It's all open source. It's all out there on GitHub. So maybe if you're running an event in the future, you can use it as well. So here, let's quickly have a look at how this works. So basically, we have this registration page here. And I can just put in my email. It kind of hashes the email and uses that as like a unique identifier. And then you might be lucky and yay, I won a golden ticket. I don't get any swag. Well, I do get swag, but not special golden swag because I didn't actually win, right? I knew I've built this, so I knew how this worked. And then you can tweet it, you can share it on LinkedIn, you can download the picture. The great thing is, when you tweet it, it kind of generates, there's like this social image, this OG image. So if we look at the ticket ID, we can look into here and we get an OG image, and we can just copy that out. So it just uses kind of Vercel API route to generate a PNG. So we can see that here, and that's being cached and then kind of used throughout sort of social media. Yeah, and so we've built this on top of, we've taken a page out of Vercel's book. They've done this really well with Next.js Conf. And the great thing is they open sourced it here on the vercel.com/templates. You can actually see, if you go to database, you can select Supabase, and you can see here kind of the templates, starter templates that work with Supabase. Kind of got the subscription starter, our partner gallery as well. It's open source. And then the virtual event starter kit. So we actually committed kind of a repository here to committed to the repository to actually make this kind of API-ify the database access. So it has a lot of support. This virtual event starter kit has a lot of support for different CMSs. But then for kind of the virtual ticketing thing, I was just using Redis beforehand. So with like GitHub authentication and storing kind of that information, the ticket information, ticket numbers, and email addresses. And so I just submitted a PR, great thing about open source. So you can dig into that here. I'll link the PR below as well, where you can see kind of, how to make that work, with either with Redis or with your Supabase instance, if you want to do that. And you can kind of dig through that, how that worked. Basically, just create a kind of a database API that then sort of switches, based on the environment variables, switches between. So what we haven't committed back yet is the golden ticket mechanic. Now, it is fairly simple. You can see it here in our Supabase community org, Super Launch Week, we called it. So you see it's forked from the virtual event starter kit. And actually the great thing with GitHub is if we replace the .com with .dev, we can actually go and open this up in VS Code in the browser, which is really neat. And then we just switch to the feature launch ID branch. So this is what we've got deployed. And so you can see here we've got this .env.local example, and really it's just basically golden tickets is just an environment variable, kind of a comma separated list of ticket IDs. So initially we kind of started out just using the Fibonacci sequence. The only problem with the Fibonacci sequence is that it gets very large very quickly, and so we weren't giving out enough golden tickets, and then we corrected and just gave away way too many golden tickets. And now sort of we probably could have randomized it a bit more, but Scrappy just kind of figuring this out. And then you can have a look, like as you search through kind of the golden tickets, we're basically just sort of splitting them out into like a golden tickets variable, and then we're just kind of checking, like does the ticket number, is it included in the array of golden tickets, and then we just kind of that goes through sort of the whole mechanic here of like the selecting the username, and then if we render the golden ticket, we basically just have, I think somewhere, what was it called? Ticket, I think, perhaps. Yeah, so we have the ticket, or is it golden? So we just have kind of the ticket components somewhere. I think if we go into components up here, and then we got the kind of tickets, and I think if we look for golden, we'll find kind of so the ticket basically just has a state called golden, kind of checking if the user data has golden. We just added that into sort of the user data state, and then if the ticket is golden, we just kind of render sort of what's the ticket ticket. We just kind of render basically golden ticket and just kind of different colors. I think you can if you dig through this, you can find out how that kind of works. Ticket profile, and again sort of just kind of applying sort of classes and kind of different colors, gold primary, what have you. Anyway, so this is how it works. I hope you have your ticket already. Do share it with us. There are still some golden tickets in there, and give us some feedback if you like kind of the golden tickets idea mechanic. We can definitely also commit that back into the virtual event starter kit if that's something you're interested in. So check out the links in the description and let us know in the comments if you have any questions. Just let us know. All right, have fun, enjoy the rest of launch week, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Hello folks, my name is Dmitry, and I am grateful to Supabase who invited me today to tell you about some open source stuff I do. Most of my projects are around web APIs, where I try various ways to make them more reliable. The first project is Schematizes. It's a tool for randomized testing of web APIs. It reads API schemas in the OpenAPI or GraphQL formats and generates thousands of test scenarios that will make sure your application works as expected. It runs positive and negative test scenarios where each endpoint could be tested in isolation or statefully. It checks whether some request crashes your application, corrupts the database, or just makes your application hang forever. It checks that all responses are conforming to their specifications and that all explicit examples are up to date. It's a Python library that you can easily extend yourself by tweaking the data generation part or how it checks the responses. Your application could be written in any language. The only thing you need is at least a basic API schema. Another library I work on is JSON schema. It's a Rust crate that performs JSON schema validation. Often it performs it orders of magnitude faster than other libraries. It has bindings for Python, for Ruby, for Node.js. You can try it yourself. Or if you're a Postgres user, you can try the PG JSON schema extension written by Oliver Rice from Supabase. If you have any questions, feel free to ping me on Twitter. My handle is Stranger6667. Looking forward to hearing from you. Have a nice day.
PG-JSON schema is a Postgres extension that provides JSON schema validation for Postgres's built-in JSON types. JSON schema is a data validation spec that can describe the shape and contents of documents, and the extension exposes two functions for that use. So we can get started here by doing create extension PG-JSON schema, which will create the extension and expose these two functions. These two functions have identical call signatures other than the instance type here. We provide them a schema, which is the JSON schema, the spec that we want our instances to conform to, and an instance. If your instance is a JSON type, use the JSON matches schema function, and if it's a JSONB type, use JSONB matches schema. This is the simplest way to call the functions created by PG-JSON schema, but it's not the most immediately useful. So let's just do this as an example. All right, so our schema here is asserting that the type of the instance is an object, and we can see that that is true in this case. That's a JSON object. We have the same schema in the JSONB example, but the instance is now not a match. It's an integer instead of an object. So we got true on this first call, and if we run this, we're expecting it to be false, and it is. The more immediately useful application for these functions is in tandem with a check constraint on a table. If you're not familiar, check constraints are a Postgres primitive for validating the contents of rows as they're being inserted into a table. They are expressions that are expected to return true if a row should be accepted and false if it should be rejected with an exception. Here is an example of that. We have a blog post table with two columns, ID, serial, primary key, and a metadata JSON column. This is the one that we're going to be validating. Here is our check constraint, that expression that's expected to return true or false. And our JSON matches schema call is right here with the schema embedded directly in and a reference to the metadata column that we want to validate. So what we're validating in this case is that the metadata column is of type object containing the attribute named tags, and that attribute is an array of strings with a maximum length of 16. So let's create this table and do a couple of inserts. Now this one should pass. We have our object with the tags field, and that is an array of strings. So that inserts without issue. Now we have a failing instance. We do have our tags, but it is an array of numbers instead of an array of strings. And when we try and do that insert, we get an explanatory error message, and that gets returned to the user. The underlying implementation of the JSON schema validation is provided by a Rust crate, JSON schema _rs. You can take a look at their docs for a full description of which JSON schema drafts and features are supported. It maps one-to-one with PG JSON schema. You can get a link to those docs along with a few more examples, usage examples, at github.com/supabase/PG_JSON schema.
Hello again, my name is John Myers and I am super excited to tell you about my brand new, totally free course going live on Egghead right now. This one is all about caching Supabase data at the edge using Cloudflare workers and KV storage. Now that might seem like a lot of new or possibly unfamiliar terms for you, so let's break it down a little bit. This fancy thing called the edge is just a collection of globally distributed servers, so that users don't need to make a request potentially to the other side of the world just to get data. They can instead request it from the closest server to their physical location, making it much more performant. Now, Cloudflare workers are just serverless functions that can run at the edge, and finally, KV storage is a special cache that's also distributed across multiple CDN nodes and available to our Cloudflare workers. But what about busting this cache or fetching fresh results from the database when things change? Well, with Supabase, you get access to database webhooks. This allows us to subscribe to events in the database like insert, update, or delete, and automatically send that new value to Cloudflare to update the KV stores. This means we can serve our web apps from the edge, we can run our serverless functions at the edge, we can cache data from Supabase at the edge, and we can automatically update those cached values anytime data in the database changes. This gives us all the performance benefits of having cached data really close to our users without needing to compromise with stale or inaccurate values. Again, this course is live now and entirely free, so once you've heard about all of the other awesome things happening in the community, why not spend the next 28 minutes learning how to cache Supabase data at the edge with Cloudflare workers and KV storage. Thanks for watching.
Hey everyone, what's up? This is Simon from the Ionic Academy and the Devdectic blog, and I've prepared a big Angular guide for Supabase for this launch week. So every Angular fan will definitely love this because it's covering not just a small case, but a combination of different elements of Supabase that you need to put together to build a real-world application. And we will do this together on the example of building a little Trello board. So most of you should be familiar with the concept of Trello, having boards, having lists and cards. And we're going to replicate all of that with Supabase using Angular and using Tailwind for our UI. This, of course, means we also have to start by writing a lot of SQL code to define our tables within Supabase. But this is already a great example to learn a bunch of things like how you can reference the authentication table, how you can use stuff like onDelete if you're not very familiar with SQL. But also about creating these many-to-many tables and especially writing functions and using triggers, because this is really super interesting and gives you like superpower about your data. For example, what we're going to do is we're going to define a function that will give us all the boards for authenticated users, because we can then use this function that we define once in pretty much all the security rules or the policies that we write for our table. So we, of course, need to enable the row level security. And by using our own function, we can easily check if people are allowed to edit boards, lists, and cards. So we're going to go through all of this, writing some SQL together, also how we can define a trigger that then in combination creates some other data in our database, and all of this will be just great for this example. Now, let me show you the inside area because I'm pretty sure you want to see how all of this works. So I've created two different users here, and they are actually a part of the same board. So I can create boards here for my own user, and I can also eventually invite other users to that board. So now we see the two boards side by side, and I should be able to edit card. Sometimes this seems to be a bit out of sync. And usually, yeah, no, it should. It usually after the second refresh, it works. I don't know why. I've recorded this part like 5 times and always worked on the second time. So I can now update this, and the changes are reflected in my other app here as well. And same if I create a card from user B in here. I can update this, and I got the real-time updates on my other user board, just to show you this is one email, this is a different email. So those are two completely separate users. Now, to come up with all of this, we actually don't need too many fancy pages. We have a login page, we have a workspace and the board page. Those pages might look a bit challenging, especially from the HTML perspective, because we're using Tailwind UI. But from a data perspective, it's going to be highly interesting how we're going to handle the authentication, the magic link sign-in, and especially retrieving all the data, and sometimes handling edge cases where we not yet have access to the whole data object. So these are problems that you only encounter if you're working on a real-world example. And that's really what I wanted to show you with this example, and I hope you're gonna love it. So, a big, massive new guide for using Supabase with Angular and Tailwind for your next project. And of course, I hope you have fun with the Supabase launch week.
Hi, I'm Adewale, developer advocate at CodeSandbox. We at CodeSandbox are huge fans of open source and Supabase, so we are excited for another Supabase launch week. You can start building with Supabase right away on CodeSandbox with any framework of your choice. Here, we are building with Next.js. To get started, set up your project at app.supabase.com and get your URL and anon key from the dashboard. Start up a Next.js project on CodeSandbox. Install the Supabase dependency. Add your environment variables, that is the URL and anon key from earlier. You can do this from the UI or in your .env.local file. Next step is to create a helper file to initiate the Supabase client, and you can start building. CodeSandbox projects help simplify building and collaboration. For every pull request, you get a unique development environment to test with. Every branch has a link that you can share for easy collaboration or feedback. You can build from anywhere using VS Code and the iOS app on the iPad. We also have an example project set up to showcase the power of Supabase that you can fork and start using right now.
Hi everyone, Alfred from Dashbase here. Let's say you have built an app with Supabase and you want your teammates to view and edit data. You might build an admin panel. Honestly, nobody likes building admin panels because it takes too much time and effort to do that. That is why we've created Dashbase, a no-code CRUD dashboard builder. Let me show you a dashboard built using Dashbase and how easy it is to build the dashboard. Here with a dashboard for our customers' data, you see that with a nice table here with all the information, and you can filter or sort the customers by any of the attributes you like. You can also click on each of the customer to find out more information. You can also edit the information, save it directly to your database, or delete the customer entirely. And then finally, you can have multiple tables on a single page, or you can create separate pages if you want. Maybe a page for plans, a page for countries. All right, now that I've seen this dashboard, let me show you how easy it is to build this with Dashbase. And when I say easy, I mean it. You can ask a non-technical teammate to do this themselves. First, let's create a dashboard. We'll call it admin dashboard and link our customers' data to it. You see that we automatically generate a table for you, but let's say this is not what you want, so you can clear them out. Let's call this the customers page. And then we can add a new table by simply typing /table and selecting the table that we want. You'll notice things like filter and sort and new is provided automatically, so you don't have to code them yourself. And then let's customize the table. We can hide the columns that we don't want to show, and we can even add in columns from any related table. And then let's reorder them. I want to put company name at the front. Maybe billing email, pricing, price name, and when did they sign up. Great. I can also rename some of this to plan and price. Can also adjust the column so that's easier to read. Perfect. So yeah, we already have a table that's very similar to what I showed you earlier. The next thing to do is to customize the single item view. So if you click into any of the row, you'll notice that we have this generated for you automatically with all the attributes related to this customer. Again, you can customize this as much as you like. We're going to call this customer. We'll delete the fields that we do not need. You can reorder them. I want to put company name at the top. Let's maybe also add a divider before all the tables. And we can clean up some of this table name. So let's call this country. Just want the name. Resize it. This is the plan the customer is on. Can reorder and resize it. And then let's delete the remaining tables that are unnecessary. So there you have it. You have the single view of the customer. And the cool part of this is that you can click to any other customer and have the same view. So you can easily edit the information, save it to a database, or again, delete the customer from the database. And once you've created this table, if you want, you can share this with your teammates easily by adding them to this dashboard and give them use access to the dashboard. And that's it. You've realized there's no SQL or JavaScript involved. It's an entirely no-code way for you to build such crowd dashboard for people to view and edit data for you. Right now, we have a waitlist of a few hundred people, and we're onboarding them in batches. But if you sign up for our waitlist and let us know in our Discord server that you have watched this video, we're happy to let you skip the queue. All right, that's all from me from today. Have a nice day.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and this is a quick demo of Replicache. So like I said, Replicache is a way to make applications that have instantaneous UIs. Let me show you a demo. So this is an app we call Replier. It's a demo app that we built, and it's designed to look like Linear, an issue tracker that competes with like GitHub issues or with Jira and is growing in popularity. And what's great about Linear is everything you open is really, really fast and responsive. Everything that you can touch in the UI is super fast. So we built Replier to demonstrate how to build this kind of an application using Replicache. So just like Linear, whenever you open a bug, it's instant. Literally like the next frame, it opens the bug. There's no progress bar anywhere. Everything that you can do in the UI is spinner free. And it isn't a small amount of data. This is all of the bugs in the React repository as of like a month ago, as of like April. So it's about 11,000 bugs, and the data set is 50 megabytes. And if I clear the application and start over, you can see it, the first time we run it, it takes maybe a second and a half to load. And what's happening during that time is it's downloading all the metadata for all the issues in this repository. So now we have the metadata and the app renders. And in the background, it's additionally loading all the comments, right? So if I open this first one, I've got all the comments and the description. But if I were to scroll down like towards the end, I might not have some comments because it's loading them in the background. But the cool thing is that now that I've got this data, every single time I revisit this app on this device, it's going to load much faster because no network request is required to get the data to render this UI. But not only that, now that I have the data local, I can do all kinds of cool stuff. I can switch to see just the active bugs instantly with no network request. I can see just the backlog instantly with no network request. But it's not just reading the data. I can modify the data. Let me mark this thing in progress. Instant. No progress bar. No spinner. Literally the next frame it renders. I can create new bugs. And I instantly get it. We can even do complex filters in this UI. So let's filter by all the urgent bugs that are in progress. And I can scroll through them. So this is what you can do when you have the data local. So that's how Replicache makes your app feel fast for the user that's looking at it. But when you build apps using this real-time sync style design, there's something else that you get. The app feels fast because you can see the changes that other people are making at the same time. So if I open this app also in Safari, so now I've got to open it in Safari, and I change one of the bugs to in progress, it changes to in progress on the Safari one. If I change it to this one to done, you'll see over here that it's going to change to done. Done. And it works for the entire UI. So I changed this first one to urgent. It's urgent now. I create a new bug. It shows up here, and it shows up over here. So the cool thing about this is you don't have to write any code to make this happen. Any feature you write is going to have this instantaneous feel to it. And similarly, any feature you write is going to sync to the other instances automatically. Because what's happening under the covers is the entire data model is syncing, and the UI is rendering the data model. So any changes that modify the data model, whether from sync or from local mutation, get re-rendered. So obviously it's possible to build these kind of things in other ways. I mean, apps like this have existed, but Replicache makes it much, much easier because all the optimistic updates happen automatically as part of using Replicache normally. And all of the synchronization happens ubiquitously automatically as part of doing Replicache. If you want to learn more, go to replicache.dev.
Hi, I'm Tyler, developer at Supabase. Now I'd like to introduce my friend Majid over at Invertase, and he'll talk about how you can easily develop Flutter apps using in-browser Flutter editor called Zap.
Hi, my name is Majid and I am head of DevRel at Invertase. Invertase is a developer tooling and integration specialist. We build ambitious software to enable companies to succeed. One of the tools that we recently have developed is Zap. Zap is a free online sandbox environment for building Flutter applications in the browser. You can think of an environment for rapid Flutter prototyping without requiring you to set up anything extra. Just open your browser, go to zap.run, and start developing. With Zap, you can enjoy having IntelliSense, auto-completion, auto-formatting, and more. It's like your favorite IDEs in your preferred browser. You can easily manage your files and folders, write your test, run all of them in your browser. You can learn about the differences you've made to the project just like Git diff. You can save, give a name, add description, and share your project with anyone with a public URL. In fact, Supabase Flutter is an excellent example of building a rapid prototype with Zap. After adding your dependencies in Zap, you can start developing what you want to demonstrate, and perhaps you need to learn before implementing. You can quickly touch authentication, database, storage, and more with Zap and Supabase. I cannot wait to see what you can build with Supabase and Zap. Do not forget to share what you've built with me or Invertase and Supabase team. Good luck.
Hi, my name is Abhishek Pandey. I am the CEO and founder of Filantera. Filantera is a creative digital agency based in Indonesia, and we are official Supabase expert partner. We help SMEs and startups to build their digital product by using modern technology stack. Time is precious, and building a digital product can be more difficult than you imagine. Managing and scaling on-premises infrastructure can be span of time. That's why we choose to use Supabase as a backend solution that can deploy as soon as possible. Don't worry about the platform scalability or reliability, Supabase will take care of it. We love Supabase, and we are happy to partner with them. Thank you, Supabase.
Hey, my name is Dominic and I'm the co-founder of Snapify. Snapify is a powerful design tool that helps you to explain and share your code snippets in many beautiful ways. Our editor lets you operate on a free canvas where you can arrange multiple code snippets and annotate them with arrow and text elements, so you are able to explain specific parts of your code. You can style everything to your own needs and give your code presentations a personal touch by adding your social media branding. Showing every feature in detail would go beyond the scope of this video, so I would suggest to head over to snapify.io and give it a try on your own. All basic features are available for free. When it comes to sharing code snippets, you can either download them as an image, or if you upgrade to our higher plans, you can share them as a public URL. What's really cool about sharing them as a public URL that they are just not a static image, it's really an accessible view of your code snippets, and the viewer can easily copy the code and use it somewhere else. Regarding our tech stack, Snapify is a Next.js application hosted on Vercel, and our backend is implemented with Supabase. Let me show you which features of Supabase we are using and how it lets us move forward quickly. The first feature we are using is the Supabase authentication. Doesn't matter if the user wants to sign up or log in with a social media account or with good old email and password. Supabase got us covered and takes care of almost everything in this case. The second feature we are using is the Supabase storage. Every time a user uploads a custom image, it gets stored there. Also, the preview images of our snaps are being stored there. The API of storing and retrieving images in Supabase is so simple, it's a real no-brainer. Last but not least, we're of course using Supabase as our database. Supabase provides you with a REST API on top of their PostgreSDB, so we don't even need a backend in between. Every time a user changes something in his snap or creates a new folder here on the dashboard, we just call the API directly from our frontend. And thanks to row-level security, we are also able to restrict users to only retrieve and store data they have permissions for. We're working on Snapify for more than a year and already have a good amount of happy customers which are using it on a daily basis. Despite that, we are still operating on the free plan of Supabase at the moment. For us, that's just awesome because it means that Supabase enables us to validate our product ideas, get things done quickly, save valuable time, and all of that for free. It's time to come to an end. I hope you enjoyed this little presentation, and if you have any questions regarding Snapify, our tech stack, or how we are using Supabase, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via Twitter. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for the final day of Supabase Launch Week number 5. It was a massive one. So many awesome new things to play with. So many awesome new things from the community. What are you going to do this weekend, Thor?
Well, there's still a whole weekend left to build an app for the Supabase open source hackathon. I'll be playing around with some hardware, I think. I want to check out some Bluetooth stuff, maybe some Wi-Fi, pixel art. We'll see. Yeah, I'll be good at digging into that.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I'm going to be playing around with some web MIDI stuff and maybe trying out some of the new Supabase real-time broadcast stuff to see if I can let other people in the world play my synthesizers too. So yes, that's very exciting. So we have a whole bunch of awesome prizes, including GitHub sponsorships, exclusive swag, and obviously lifelong bragging rights.
And we also have different categories to maximize the amount of winners. And, folks with different skill sets. So there is most fun, most useful, most bestest, most Flutter. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that allow you to win something.
Awesome. So keep an eye on our socials. We'll be announcing the winners in the coming weeks. And also just to see all of the awesome stuff that we will definitely be showcasing throughout our socials and just all of the other cool Supabase related stuff after Launch Week as well. we usually have all kinds of cool stuff coming out. So thanks again for watching and hanging out with us for this launch week number 5, and we will see you in the next one.